Okay, we're rolling. Praise God, the Almighty King. I feel led to do another video on stuff, and there's a Jordan Peterson video that just came out. It's called "CHAT GPT and AI Will Take Over," and so let's just kind of get into it right off the bat here. I don't think I should do anything else as far as the intro. If you don't know who Jordan Peterson is, well, then that's your problem. But anyway, let's see what this is about. And pardon me if there are ads that pop up because I'm doing this off YouTube. So here we go.
How many of you clap? How many of you know what CHAT GPT is? There are things in everyone in the...
Okay, so in case you don't know, CHAT GPT is this thing you can get on the internet. You can type in, hey, write me an essay about dogs and cats and why they are important to humans, and then it'll bust out this thing. It's cool. I've written a few emails and stuff and queries using it. It's fun. Yeah, we'll go from there. Is it a threat to the world? I don't think so. All right, check it out.
The audience should know this. There are things coming down the pipeline on the artificial intelligence front that are just going to make your hair stand on end within the next year, because there is so much transformation going on in that domain, and that's been the case particularly for the last 6 months, that it's almost unimaginable. I figure a third of the universities will go broke in the next 5 years. So I'll tell you what CHAT GPT is, just so you know, because you need to know this.
So yeah, by the way, artificial intelligence is getting pretty good, right? If you saw that Joe Rogan interview with Elon Musk, remember how he was getting all like dramatic about, AI, it's not good, we have to do something about it. But it's funny because the guy warning us is one of the guys who's heavily working on it. So kind of ironic, isn't it? But anywho, here we go.
And I don't know what sort of technological revolution this is. It's smarter than you. This is a big deal. So this AI system, it's a general language processing model, was released about a week and a half ago. And I went and interacted with it. It's an AI system, artificial intelligence system. It basically is trained on, a massive corpus of spoken or of text. So it's derived its models of the world from the analysis of human speech, essentially. It isn't using real world data yet, but that will be happening certainly within the next year. And CHAT GPT analyzes a very large corpus of text, and that corpus is growing all the time. Now, it's already sophisticated enough. I went on to it last week and I said, okay, some of you know I've written these books, 12 Rules for Life, and then Beyond Order, 12 more rules, because you can't have enough rules. And I asked it, this is what I asked it to do. I said, write me an essay that's a 13th rule for Beyond Order.
One thing I want to say right now, sorry to interrupt you. Notice how this video has that very dramatic, foreboding type of tone to it. It's like, why do that? Seriously, why do that? Look, did anybody do videos on the creepy, dramatic movie when talking about the future of the telephone back before it came out? What's the big deal? So we use a telephone, we communicate, things are fine. Sure, there's that moment where new technology coming in makes things a little maybe weird for a little bit, but we adapt, and that's that. So I just think it's funny how there's always this doom and gloom thing about artificial intelligence. We watch too many movies. So I think that's funny. I mean, we could make it fun, it's like, hey, just like when you watch a commercial that's trying to sell you something, like a laundry detergent or I don't know, a new mattress for your bed or something. Usually the music's pretty cheery. It's like, hey, this is no big deal. Why? It's the mind that always thinks that, the mind that is always focused on a doom and gloom future. It's going to create that kind of stuff. Anybody who is always thinking negatively, waiting for the world to end, they're always going to see how something is going to destroy us. And the thing with artificial intelligence, it's and this whole stuff that he's talking about, it's gonna be all right. It's not gonna be as bad as people think it's going to be. I mean, what's the big deal? You probably have an answer, but let's just listen to Mr. Peterson talk a little longer.
Written in a style that combines the King James Bible with the Tao Te Ching. That's pretty difficult to pull off, you know. Any one of those things is hard. The intersection of all three, that's impossible. Well, it wrote it in about 3 seconds, 4 pages long, and it isn't obvious to me, for better or worse, that I would be able to tell that I didn't write it. Right, and okay, and that's pretty impressive, but the fact that it could do that grammatically perfectly, right, and quite impressive philosophically. I also had it write an essay on the intersection between the Taoist version of ethical morality and the ethics that are outlined in the Sermon on the Mount, which it just nailed, got that dead right, brilliant. Again, it took it about 3 seconds. There was a computer engineer who purported to work for Tesla. He asked GPT, CHAT GPT, he said, look, I work for Elon Musk, but I haven't been doing much for the last week, so I need you to write me 10 bullet points about what I probably would have done as a engineer at Twitter. What 10 things did I do last week that were productive and valuable? And oh, if you don't mind, write me the accompanying computer code that goes with each project. And it did that too, 3 seconds, and the computer code works. Right, and so, okay, so that's already there. So then a university professor did this. He thought, oh, that's interesting. Any student will be able to write any essay on any topic with CHAT GPT. And someone gave it an SAT, by the way, and it scored about as well as the average student in a well-functioning public university. So that's how smart it is. So that's basically an IQ test. He said, write me an essay, gave it a topic, wrote the essay. He said, now grade it. He said, if we can automate the students, we should be able to automate the professors too. And so it provided a complete, comprehensive analysis of its own essay with grade. It wrote, someone else asked it, write the screenplay and describe the characters for the next $900 million Hollywood blockbuster. It's like, bang, plot, characterizations. Then someone else took the descriptions of the actors and said, generate photorealistic computer images for each actor. And all the AI systems could do that. So I'm going to tell you what's going to happen next. This is going to happen this year. So get ready. Okay, so now we have an AI model that can extract a model of the world from the entire corpus of language. All right, and it's smarter than you. And it's going to be a hell of a lot smarter than you in 2 years. So you can get ready for that too. But it's not that smart yet because it's just a humanities professor at the moment. It doesn't test its linguistic knowledge against the real world. That's what a scientist does, right? You come up with a theory that's linguistically predicated and then you throw it against the world and see if it sticks. And then the world tells you whether or not your linguistic construction is valid. But the new AI systems will be able to extract out patterns from the world itself, from images and so forth, and then be able to test their linguistic constructions against the world, and so they'll practice just like scientists. And the most advanced models are going to use text and image and action as well, because they'll be able to model human action. And all of that's going to come down the pipes within the next year. So hang on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because what did my friend Jonathan Pajot say? Giants are going to walk the earth once more. And we're going to live through that. Elon Musk, one of the things he's working on, he thinks that the world will be controlled by whoever produces the most functional AI system the fastest, because there'll be a first mover advantage. And one of the things Musk has been working on for a long time are distributed AI systems, so that you'll have your own artificial intelligence to protect you against, well, let's say against Google's artificial intelligence, for starters. Yeah, or the CCP's artificial intelligence, because you can bet your hat they're working on that about as fast as they possibly can.
So there you have it. You know, the end of the world is coming because artificial intelligence is going to take over. At least that's kind of like what the how the picture is painted, right? The reason why I'm doing this video is because, well, first off, there's that constant sense of like the world is coming to an end type of like sentiment, and it's not. It's not. The world is not coming to an end. It's not going to be as awful as the speculation proposes. It's not. It's going to be just fine. We're going to work alongside this stuff just like we're working alongside our smartphones, our computers. Everything's just fine. The thing that kind of bothers me about Jordan Peterson, well, first off, is his tone here. Just the whole like, the end of the world is coming. It's going to be awful. You know, we're going to walk among giants, live among giants once again. By the way, God's the giant. God's the giant. See, the problem with Peterson, by the way, I have his book. I love the guy. He's extremely intelligent and has a lot of great wisdom and advice. And so, you know, he blew up for the past 5 years, and we understand why. There's a lot of good stuff. The only problem is that Mr. Peterson, Dr. Peterson, has spent many years of his life focused on the atrocities that human beings are capable of doing. You know, like the World War II, like the Soviet Union and what they did, what Stalin, those guys. What's the other guy? What's the other bad guy?
It's 12 o'clock.
Lenin. And so we get it, man. Yeah, people suck. Hitler, look at what you know this guy did. And so you think, well, if people can do that back in those days, what can evil people do with AI? And so I'm not saying that's not, that it can't potentially become a pretty bad situation and get difficult. What I'm saying is that it's going to be okay in the long run. And it's like, well, maybe that's what the whole point of this is to worry about the hell that's about to come as a what would you call it? Oh, I can't think of the word. As a result of this technology coming to pass. But honestly, I think it's okay to think about it and be cautious of it. But I don't think it does anybody any good to put in our minds that this is going to be a very terrible thing and we are going to all perish as a result. I mean, look, we are here to constantly monitor these world events and daily events. Like we constantly monitor each other. Human beings is what I'm talking about. We watch each other. You know, we are a different person from when we're just sitting in our bed by ourselves versus going out in public. It's like we have this automatic thing that gives us the ability to monitor ourselves and monitors others so that we can work together in this world. And you know, the problem is with Jordan Peterson is the whole doom and gloom thing. You know, he could spend a little more time focused on the good about all this. I understand. Look, well, first off, speak about the stuff he's saying with students and their professors. Well, professors, first off, you guys are going to have jobs soon, right? I mean, unless if you're in an extremely, maybe like singular area of study, very, very focused rather than just going to a university or something. Or I imagine much of it will be just one-on-one learning and so on instead of the whole classroom setting. But if the classroom setting is still going on while this AI stuff is blowing up, then will professors stop asking your students to do things that AI can do, and figure that one out? Maybe just even ask Chat GPT, hey, what can you not do so that I could have my students work on that. But anyway, and lastly, what I'll say about Jordan is that look, I'm still quite perplexed that as intelligent as Mr. Peterson is, Dr. Peterson, I'm still surprised that he hasn't dropped the psychology stuff and picked up the Bible and started preaching the gospel. I don't mean having his analysis of the Old and New Testament in running out the lecture hall and psychoanalyzing Jesus Christ or whatever he does. It's about time he drops all that and starts preaching the gospel of Christ. I don't mean talking about it, I mean preaching it. Quit hitting that glass ceiling, man. You're still doing the psychology stuff, and it does work at certain things, but when you finally have to cross over to the next big thing, it's going to be receiving God and preaching the gospel. That's what you ought to be doing now, Mr. Peterson. I know it's tough because we like to stick to our old ways of thinking and doing, and it'll probably affect the next book sale numbers. So there's going to be a lot of sacrifice. You might have to give up some of that fame. You might have to give up some of those revenue dollars. But I think to just kind of advance towards the ultimate truth, you're going to have to make those sacrifices and just start preaching the gospel. So pick up your cross, bear your load, right? And go do that. But that's between him and the Lord. So anyway, I'm just gonna finish off with this because I mean there's so much to talk about here with this whole tech stuff and AI and yada yada yada. And I'm just gonna say this, that God always wins. God is the Alpha and the Omega. So we don't have to worry ourselves with this kind of stuff. Oh, is this emerging technology going to destroy us? We're going to be fine. Life's just going to carry on. And yeah, there's cycles, and there's going to be good times and bad times, hard times, easy times. Sure, that's just how it is. But man, you don't have to live your whole freaking life thinking that the end of the world is coming. First off, the end of the world is coming for all of us at the individual level. We're all going to perish, and we're all going to have to face what's next to face once our fleshly bodies are done here on earth. So, I mean, look, if you're worried about death, well, why don't you worry about it every minute of every single day? Why aren't you freaking out? You should, because death is certain. So if you just sat there for 5 minutes and really thought about it, really accept that truth. It's a fact. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. No matter what. I am going to die one day. It may be a year from now, or 5 or 10 or 30 or 50 or 100, but I am going to die. And if you really pondered that, it could really scare you. But the thing is, we only ponder it a little bit. You know, some of us maybe a little more than others. Maybe there's times in our life where we ponder it. It feels a little closer than other people. Like, let's say you lost a loved one and you start thinking about death and losing people, and well, you know, one day you're not going to be here, and so you ponder it. But at the end of the day, you kind of get over it, accept it, and you just carry on. Like last night, I got together with a couple of my friends, and we played euchre at a cigar lounge for 3.5 hours. It was a great time. Here I am with a couple of dudes just having a good time, smoking a cigar and playing the simple game of euchre. And how is that even possible for me to do? Knowing in the back of my mind, or my subconscious, whatever you want to call it, that I'm going to die soon. I think we all kind of have that tucked away deep inside. I mean, we all do for sure. But to have the ability to kind of put that on the back burner and enjoy a game of euchre or a walk in the park or a bowl of spaghetti, that's a gift from God. That's God's way of saying, hey, it's going to be all right. You know, it's going to be all right. Now, you might be a freaking horrible sinner, and you're going to have to, you know, have your conversation with God about that, either here or there later when you're. But the bottom line is this: God is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, and the first and the last. There is nothing equal to or above God. Not even artificial intelligence, despite how amazing and smart and powerful it's going to become. Oh my gosh, artificial intelligence is going to... it's just funny because, you know, one thing Ray Dalio said in his video, he did a really good video called The Changing World Order, or the other one. He did two. It's one of those. He talks about how things come in cycles, and what attributes to his success over there at Bridgewater is that they decided to take it upon themselves to look back in history hundreds and hundreds of years and to understand the changing orders and the cycles. And as a result of that, if you look back and say, okay, if I just look forward, we can feel pretty confident that we're going to see those same patterns repeat. And sure enough, they do. And knowing that, you can look forward without moving in fear, because you know that when certain things happen, there are certain effects, results, actions, reactions, right? So you don't need to go berserk when you see something happen that is, or experiencing something happen that might be a little bit scary, or, you know, challenging, or it's going to shift the status quo, whatever. So that's the benefit of it. That's the benefit of having that experience, and you can get that experience just by looking at history. So one of the things, the reason why I mentioned that is because he says in that video that, but the people who don't know that, the people who don't look in history, who don't know any of that information, they are experiencing an event for the first time. Let's just say it's inflation, or a recession, or a depression, or a war, or whatever. So they're experiencing that for the first time. So for them, it's extremely scary, and that's on the individual level, right? So let's just say you're young and you're 14 and or 13 or whatever, and you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and it's your first boyfriend or girlfriend. You fall madly in love, and then they break up with you, and that's just the end of the world, right? You're super emotional. You can go blow your head off because it's so powerful emotionally. But you live life a little bit. You date somebody else, and maybe another person, and maybe like on the 5th or 6th one, you marry them and all that, and then you get divorced or whatever. You begin to kind of get a little used to it. You realize, oh, wait a minute, if this person does leave or it doesn't work out, it's not going to be the end of the world. But for the first time, it's terrible. And that can also happen collectively, as a collective people, all of us together, all of us peeps hanging out, going through life, at the same time, we're going to encounter events that, because of our ignorance, is so new to us, and we're gonna flip out. Like COVID-19. Did we not all flip out? Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. Everybody's gonna die. Masks. Don't leave your house. It's the end of the world. It's like, yeah, sure, man. A couple people died. It was sucky, but that kind of stuff's happened before, and we're just experiencing it for the first time in this setting, with our culture, with our technology, with the politics of the world the way they are, with where everything is geographically. I mean, we're all experiencing it for the first time. But if we were smart and wise, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Can you imagine what God's doing right now? Just not worried at all about these things. And you could say, well, why doesn't God stop bad things from happening? That's just an argument that you can have some other time with somebody else. But anyway, that's it. I really like Jordan. I think he's smart. I read his 12 books, or his book 12 Rules for Life. He came out with another whole other thing, and I thought that was just like a kind of a cash grab. I wasn't really interested. I feel like you kind of get redundant. I think 12 is enough. But hey, you can't. It's hard to stop the momentum when you're moving that fast. The momentum of success and fame and all that. So you gotta stay relevant, keep the products coming out, and so on. But he is cool, like, no doubt. I mean, he's awesome. But yeah, so if there's anything you take away from this video, whether you believe it or not, let me just say it one more time. And this is the whole point of this video, is to say this, and I'll say it one more time, and I'll say it again after this video is over, and then I'll say it again later to somebody else somewhere. I'm going to say this, that God is God. Nothing's above, nothing's equal to, and God is not a novice. There's no surprising God. There's none of that. God is the Almighty Creator, and there's nothing that we can do that will surprise God. There's nothing we can do that will make it so God's experiencing it for the first time. Nothing, ever. And that's why we can enjoy a bowl of spaghetti and play euchre with buddies and just chill out. And so anyway, so praise God, the Almighty King. If you haven't already, go to a church, pick up a Bible, and get that peace. Receive Jesus Christ as your Savior, but don't just take it from me. Press into it into yourself. And I can promise you this: the more you press in, the more God reveals to you, and the more peace you can have in your heart. You can have a more sound mind and be more whole and more connected with God, the Almighty King. And so that's it. So God bless. And if you don't believe in God, we'll start believing, because AI is going to take over the world and destroy everything. Just kidding. Adios. Bye-bye.